Welcome into episode 25 of JD's Empire Sports Talk. After a little bit of a vacation, about 10 days off from just episodes in general, but Jet Specialist Ryan Downey is back. A little malfunction setting up the equipment today, but we're ready to go. Like what I was saying, episode 25 already. I mean, it's gone really, really fast, and we have a ton of episodes coming up this week. Probably four, at least three, but maybe four, and one at the end of the week. But we'll have a Jets one here. March Madness coming up. It'll be focused a little bit on St. John's as well. Then we'll be putting out our own brackets of who we think is going to do well. I know we usually don't do too good at that, so hopefully it changes this year. Both of our teams will be a top two seed, so it'll be fun to watch. And then we'll have a Knicks and Rangers episode, and probably a Mets one at the end of the week. I'm trying to get CT, our baseball specialist, to be back next week, but I want to talk about the Mets on my own, just so we can talk about injuries because the Mets have suffered some injuries as well. But starting with this episode, free agency in the NFL happened really quick last week, and a lot of signings even happened before they were supposed to, which shows that the NFL is kind of rigged in the sense of guys knew what their move was going to be before they were supposed to be, just because of all the agents and front offices talk and all that. The Jets made a lot of moves, but nothing really needle moving, we should say. I know you wrote out all the guys that have contracts and all that stuff. They also lost a lot of guys as well. So I know I'm smiling and laughing, but it's like I'm looking at these names on this list, and there's nothing. Honestly, I don't think any people would even know what the hell I'm talking about if we bring these names up. But guys they've lost, we could start with them. Probably most of them were expected. Don't want you to uh, hill the cord there. But guys that they lost, Aaron Rodgers, of course, was cut. Devontae Adams signed with the Rams. Kenny Yeboah, more of a practice squad, third, fourth string tight end, who wasn't bad at blocking, but he's gone now. Wes Schweitzer, he's gone. Morgan Moses, he's gone. Javon Kinlaw, who got an insane contract, he must know some dirty secrets on people because he got $15 million a year. I know you can't stop laughing, but it's insane the contract that he got. Solomon Thomas, Hassan Reddick, another one got a ridiculous contract for someone that did nothing. DJ Reed got paid, well deserved. Brandon Eccles and Ashton Davis. So take me through maybe who you didn't think would be gone and is gone, because I think most of these guys were expected to be let go. I think maybe one or two on here guys that we expected to be back, and then I think there's one guy that they definitely should have brought back and they didn't. But I just want to get your thoughts as a whole, just on the guys they lost and all that. Just sum it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
I feel like most of these guys on the list we definitely thought we were gonna lose, like Rogers, Devontae, Kinlaw. Obviously, he wasn't coming back. Reddick, the way that whole summer and the season went with him, obviously he was gone. Reed expressed that he didn't want to come back at the end of the
I mean, he
season.
was saying it like during
Yeah, he
games
said
still,
it
yeah.
during games. But a few guys I wanted back was Eccles. I think I'd rather him and like a few other guys like instead of Stevens, we'll get to that later, but
Yeah.
I think Eccles, I wanted him back because he's a homegrown Jet. He wasn't really standout, but he was pretty good.
He always got turnovers though in
And
his limited time. He always
yeah,
found
he
a way
did.
to. He owned Tua as well. I think he picked him off like three
hmm
or four times.
Ashton Davis was another guy I thought maybe we could have brought back as like third or fourth safety on the roster. And then Morgan Moses was the big one. We lost to the Patriots. You don't want to lose a guy like that to the Patriots, and I really thought keeping the same O line from last year would have been good for us.
Yeah, I was about to say I can agree with you 100%. Morgan Moses was the guy I think that hurts a little bit, just because they need a right tackle. He's a right tackle. He played last year through a really he had a bunch of injuries, but he was really really banged up, and he gave it his all for a team that didn't. I mean, honestly, they didn't deserve it. He could have easily sat out halfway through the year and been fully ready to go at this point, but now he's a little bit behind. Patriots also gave him a really really large contract. They're throwing money around, so it was very hard to compete with that. But still, I think Morgan Moses wasn't even told that they wanted him back. From what I heard, it wasn't someone that they were interested in. I don't know why, because they have a glaring hole at right tackle, and I don't know how they're gonna really fix that. I mean, unless they plan on taking the seventh pick for an offensive lineman, but we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, then on the secondary, those two guys, I think DJ Reed, like you said, we knew he would be gone. But Eccles and Davis, I mean, Eccles is one of those guys. Like I said, he he gets a lot of turnovers, and now he's gone. And I don't know, like it's hard to. I know in the beginning I was like jumping down Glenn's throat and like criticizing everything he was doing, but it's hard to justify getting rid of. I know Eccles is not a huge name. I'm just complaining, but it's someone. It's hard to justify like, oh, why did you let this guy go? You don't have a really deep cornerback room as it is. I mean, how many guys do you really have right now? You have three cornerbacks on the roster. Like before free agency, three guys.
If you want to count Quantez Stiggers as one, who's from the XFL or whatever that
Yeah,
league that was.
that's what I'm saying. Counting
Yeah,
him as a third,
yeah,
like you only have three guys. Two are starters. You know that Carter. Well, he'll bounce back for sure. I think. You would agree with
yeah.
that. He just had a ton of injuries too. But Sauce and Carter will be fine. But before free agency, now we're looking at that like, oh, hey, maybe Eccles can be that other starter. You don't have to go too crazy at cornerback either. When you have two guys under contract already that get a little decent amount of money, you can put that into other resources like maybe getting your right tackle back, but they didn't. And then Ashton Davis, he never lived up to his second round draft pick, but I think he played it well in his role. He was kind of like he honestly should have been like a fifth round pick. He played up to that kind of role, so he knew his place. Started some games, but he had rough times doing that. But when he was put in there for specific packages, especially special teams, he was great on
Hmm.
special teams. I know they kind of shared that up a little bit by making another move, but um, yeah, Davis was very, very good in that role. But I agree with you 100%. Like Solomon Thomas definitely was going to be back. I wouldn't think. He played here what 3 years? He was here from
He
the
was here the whole solid time.
yeah. He was all right. I mean, I don't know. Reddick was terrible. DJ Reed, like we said, but he wanted to go. Kinlaw atrocious. Moses was, like we said, we wanted him back. Schweitzer back up, and I think they replaced him well for the most part so far. Kenny Abo, another guy at backup. They got a better tight end, I think, but they still need another one. Devontae and Rogers, we knew about that once they were cut. Obviously, you're not coming back. I mean, we did see that with the 49ers. They brought Juszczyk back, but that's a different situation. So overall, though, it's one of those years. Like last year, we were kind of hoping any free agents that they had, they brought back because what was expected. But I think the Jets want to move on. One other thing I think we should talk about though before we go to the guys they've added. You didn't have them on the list here, but I probably just forgot. They did cut C.J. Mosley right when free agency started, and I know that hurt you a little bit. You're a
Hmm.
big C.J. Mosley guy. Um, I'll give you my takeaway first. What I think of that situation, they have three guys that are very very good at one position. Quincy Williams, Sherwood, who just got re-signed, and Quincy has 1 year left, but they've already re-signed him, and I'm sure they'll give him another contract. Mosley kind of was the odd man out. You saw that when he was
Hmm.
healthy for his what 2 games this year. He didn't play a lot. He was
Yeah.
that third linebacker, and if a guy that's making that much money can't be the third linebacker, just because of the way a team's constructed. So I just want to. I know that hurt you a little bit. He was a good Jet. I mean, in the beginning it was rough. He got injured his what first year?
Hmm.
Was it? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
right
yeah.
first
The
year.
first year.
Opted out of the
Hmm.
next year or whatever it was. So the first 2 years were not good, but the last 3 years were very, very good. He was the heart and soul of the defense, and I know I've seen some young guys go on Instagram and Twitter already, or X, whatever you want to call it. I say it every time. It's Twitter to me, but a few of those young guys expressed like how they were sad that he wasn't there anymore. So he will be missed. If I were him, I would just go to a team that needs a linebacker and very, very good at it.
Hmm.
49ers, maybe they lost some guys. You can go back with Salah. That could be a destination. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, best of luck for him. But what's your thoughts on the Mosley thing? Because I know you didn't have it in the notes, but I was like, I definitely know he wants to talk about it
Yeah, he definitely will be missed by a lot of Jet fans. Me, I love C.J. Mosley. He was the captain of the defense
for multiple years.
for
Yeah,
multiple years, and when he was out there healthy, he was the reason why the defense was top five in 2022 and
2020. Yep.
2023. And but it was a move that had to be done because you can't have three linebackers getting paid 10 plus million on the
No.
same team, and with battling injuries every single game last year, and Sherwood just took his role and he blew right past them, and I feel like he will be missed, but something that had to be done.
Yeah, and I also he had that neck injury, and they said, I mean, he may not. I mean, I'm not saying he's retiring, but it's very possible that's what can happen with him. So it was you had to make the move. So I think that Glenn definitely appreciated the veterans that were here, but I think he wants to bring in his own type of veterans. There's a lot of those guys that left in free agency were here for a little bit. I know Moses' second stint, but he was here twice, and those other guys, veterans that he just let go. So I'm gonna curious to see. I wanted to ask you this: who do you feel like is the going to be the veteran? leaders because they don't really have a guy that's I know Morstead, but he doesn't count. But
Yeah, but
yeah, but like defense and offensive wise, who are you going to for like leadership? Because there's not guys that have been here that like played or been here that long, right?
I think it has to be Quinn Williams.
At
He's
this
one of the
point,
longest tenured Jets draft. He was drafted. How many coaches ago? Gase drafted him,
yeah,
right?
yeah, he's the
And
longest guy. And
I I
he
think I think he has to be the leader on the defense now. But they also have to surround him with the right pieces for him to be that best player on the defense. Because if you don't have a guy next to him, he can't be that best player on the defense. But he's always gonna put up his numbers. But having a guy next to him would make him even better. And then that's the guy that you go to as your leader.
All right, yeah. I mean, that's a really I'm no one on offense, honestly.
Right.
Like, obviously, we know what Garrett Wilson's also bring, but I don't think they're in that leadership role yet. They haven't even gotten their second
I
contract.
I do think those second contract guys are gonna have to step up a little bit in the leadership room.
I mean, it is their team
It
too
is.
now, so you gotta just go and be like, all right, it's our team. We got to do something about it. But I like how you just mentioned Quinn Williams needs a running mate. The Jets did make a little splash earlier with Derek Nottie from the Chiefs, who was a Super Bowl champion, of course, because the Chiefs they win. He played there for 7 years. Someone that I've heard the Jets have had an eye on for a while, even past regimes. They really liked him throughout the draft process years ago up until now. Um, he did not start last year, but I know we know him. He's a good player from watching. He's a big boy too. That's exactly what they needed. They missed that a lot last year. They did not have anyone next to Quinn that could be any sort of a threat. But I think this is a really good move for them. He still. I mean, honestly, if they get Mason Graham, that's he's a plus of having him as their third like nose
Hmm.
tackle type of guy. But I know they got him. Then they got two other Byron Cowart and Jay Tufeli from the Bears and Bengals. Those are backups though.
Yeah.
So I think Nadi, I mean, he very much could be the starter at that position unless they depends what they do in the draft. But what do you think? I like that one. I really
I
do.
think it's a very good move. A run stuffer is something that the Jets haven't had in a long time
Yeah,
next to Quinn. And the last great run stuffer was probably Leonard Williams back all those years ago
yeah.
when Quinn was a young baby in this league. But then after that was like Al Woods, but he was old, got hurt. So I think Nadi's gonna be a good run stuffer next to Quinn.
Yeah, and then those two backups, good depth with Leonard Taylor as well. Someone that we liked a lot last year. Even his limited playing time, he played pretty good. I think for the most part, I think his role is going to be increased.
Hmm.
And they I guess they believe in him. I know it wasn't someone that was signed by he wasn't signed by these guys, but hopefully they believe in him. Move around a little bit. We'll stay in the trenches though. Offensive line, they made 3 moves as well. Bring in Josh Myers. Who is was the center of a certain someone that they signed at quarterback, who we'll get into probably last. I want to save the best for last. But Josh Myers, quality guy from the Packers. He started for the last what was it 3? It was it 3 years?
Preseason, yeah.
3 years. So he's been there. Not the greatest center, but I think he'd be fine. Honestly, I would have him as a backup.
Hmm.
Obviously, I don't really understand why you bring him in to move Titman when Titman's a really good center already, and you need more of a right tackle than you're moving guys around that maybe shouldn't be. I wouldn't like the idea of moving Vera Tucker to tackle either. So they got Josh Myers, X Xavier Newman is back. Guys like Cat with 9 lives still surviving somehow, and I don't think I'm going to say his first name right, so I'm going to say his last name, or actually, Chukwuma Okofor from the Patriots and the Steelers. So we could talk. I want to talk about him separately. But what do you think about Myers and then just X being back? I don't know. He just keeps surviving
I
somehow.
guess X being back is good backup depth. I don't really
Hopefully,
know.
he doesn't have to
I
play
don't
like
really
last
know what to
year.
say about him, but the what I do like about him is remember the Giants game when Tommy DeVito came in, our whole O line was getting hurt that
Hurt.
day. He had to play center. It was his first time ever. He actually played pretty good that day, and
Yeah.
then this could be the reason why he's still with the team.
Versatility. And then what you got on Myers? Don't spoil the other
Yeah.
why he may be here, but like just his play. Like, do you think he legitimately will be the starting center, or do you think it's depth? Because the contract I think speaks as a backup.
Yeah, I think having him as the backup center slash guard, he could probably play guard if
Yeah,
someone went
they
down.
usually all
Is
can.
he's a lot better than what Wes Schweitzer was for the Jets last year, and he was always hurt. So
Yeah,
I think Myers and having that connection that we'll talk about later is something that is good for the Jets. And if you need to move pieces around on the line, he'll be a decent center out there.
Yeah, a little bit of a chess piece. It's good to have versatility. Always seemed like a theme that the Jets are trying to get to, bringing in versatile players just for different looks. But I wanted to get your thoughts on Oko. What am I saying that right? Okafor.
Okafor.
Okafor from the Patriots doesn't matter because I don't really think he's very good, and I wasn't happy with the signing. But I know you were telling me some story, but I just want everyone else to. What's up with this guy?
Yeah, well, he started at right tackle for the Steelers early on in his
A few
career.
years ago, yeah, a few
He was
years ago.
he was decent at right tackle, and then they just didn't want him back. He went to the Patriots last year. Here's the story that they moved him to left tackle early on in the year. Some guys got hurt. He had to start at left tackle in one of the games. Played 12 snaps. He got benched. So the team basically quit on him, and then he basically quit on the team after that, and just didn't show up for the rest of the season. So I don't think that's someone that you really want on your team. But if he can go back the way he played with the Steelers, maybe. But I don't really like this guy.
All right, you really should being honest
Yeah.
and telling the story. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So, kind of the theme of the defensive and offensive line is depth, with a upside in one specific guy on either side of being starters as possible. Then was to go stay with the. Oh, we'll move back over actually to the defense. We'll do that, and then we'll get to the offense. But they brought in Rashad Weaver, who played for the Titans. He did nothing last year. 2022. He had 5.5 sacks, so he's a rotational guy, I guess. I mean, he would be like fourth or fifth. Realistically, he should be the fourth or fifth edge rusher on the team right now. He's probably third because of they don't really have much after McDonald and Johnson.
Michael Clemens.
Oh, Michael Clemens got to go. I don't even count him on the team anymore. He's better be cut. And then they re-signed Sherwood, which we're all happy about. He was great last year, first year, in a starting role. We know his story. He was drafted as a safety, converted to linebacker, and is an absolute stud now. Very happy to see him back. And Jamin Davis, who they signed, I think late last year. He really didn't do. He didn't play, but they re-signed him as depth as well. He will never really have to step on the field because of the linebackers they have, but it's good to know that they have someone that's played before and good depth. I really don't think you have to talk about these guys very much, but if you have any thoughts, if not, I'll move on.
You can move on.
All right, we'll move on. And then move up to secondary a little bit. They brought in Brandon Stevens from the Ravens, who will be the more than likely cornerback two. I know there was some controversy saying he's going to be the free safety, but we all know or have heard that he'll most likely be a cornerback two. Sauce put out there that anybody that plays opposite of him will be locked down, but I don't know about this guy. He also got a decent contract for someone that really hasn't put up great numbers. Last year he was awful. I remember, I think you sent me like a 3 minute
Mhm.
highlight video of him just getting absolutely cooked by any receiver you can think of. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully, he's a good player, and hopefully, Sauce's word is true. I mean, DJ Reed played really, really good. The best he's played in his career with Sauce. We saw what he did before that. He was a good player, but not like the way he was. And I'm curious to see what he'll do in Detroit to see if Sauce's statement is true. And then they got Isaiah Oliver back, who was very good for the Jets last year. He had a lot of tackles. He kind of played like, I don't even know, linebacker. He played a little
Mhm.
linebacker, cornerback, and safety. He did everything for this team. So I think it's another guy, versatility, good guy to bring in. Um, Andre Cisco, guy from the Jaguars, safety. He went to Syracuse. He's from Long Island, so he's got New York connections. A very, very good. A very, very good move. I think. I like this guy. I think he's a hard-hitting safety, which they need. Could be a little too reckless, so they got to tone that down a little bit. You don't want to be trying to light everyone up and then giving up 60-yard bombs. But he's a very good player. Another guy last year who wasn't great, but they to sign him on a 1 year deal. If he plays well, they'll bring him back. If not, all right, move on. I think it's better than anything they had in the safety room last year and probably the year before that as well. Um, and I just think that they had no other choice. They
Mhm.
need safeties. They
It is
had none.
somebody.
And then Tony Adams is back as well. Right now, those are the top. Those are the starting safeties. If you had to
Mhm.
sit down and pick. Any thoughts on the secondary situation?
I think Stevens could. He has definitely has potential because in 2023 he played a little safety, a little corner. He was very good, but then 2024 he was getting burned all over the place, like you
Yeah.
said. He, I've watched some highlights on they put on Twitter
Mhm.
X, same thing, but he doesn't turn his head around, so looks like as fans are gonna be screaming, "Turn your head around" a
Uh-huh.
lot when the ball's thrown his way. And then Cisco, I really like him. I feel like He's one of our best safeties that we've had in a long time, and very good tackler. And then Tony Adams, he wasn't awful.
No.
He was decent last year, but hopefully the Woody Johnson problem, if that was really true, hopefully that doesn't have an effect on the future.
Yeah, honestly, if he would, I don't think he would be back if that was the case. So that's probably a good thing. And then special teams, they brought in Chris Boyd, and if you don't know him, we knew him the other day after we saw a video. He was the guy that pushed the Texans special teams coordinator in the playoff game against the Chiefs. So we don't really know what the whole story is. Hopefully, we can find that out. But he does have some fire to him. I mean, maybe he can be good. I think this is the guy they were lacking though on special teams from last year. Now you're putting him with the next guy, Irv Charles. I think that Hardy from two, Justin
Hmm.
Hardy, was the guy they missed mightily last year.
Hmm.
And I think Boyd can be that type of player with Charles, who's recovering from his ACL injury. But those two guys on the outside playing special teams, they'd be very, very good for this team. And honestly, we don't know how much the offense will do, like scoring wise. So anything you can get from special teams, field position, any of that will be a big, big plus. So I think that's a very good move. And then they brought in punter Austin McNamara. I didn't know much on him. You were telling me he was like the four-time something like Big 12 punter or something from Texas Tech. I don't know. Maybe Morstead is maybe they're gonna cut him or he's gonna retire, whatever the case may be, or maybe they're just bringing him in just to have him on the practice squad. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we'll move into the regular offensive guys. Haven't done much on the offensive end, but they did bring back another special team player who was very good for his one kickoff return that he made before getting hurt. Keeney, what is it? Nuwago?
No Lagu. Yeah.
Nuwago, guy who ran one kickback against the Seahawks for a touchdown, 99 yards. He's very, very fast and someone that probably should have been the kick returner last year instead of messing around with Gibson. So I like how they went out. All right, we're going to make sure special teams is on lock. They still need a kicker, so we'll see what they do with that. But Nawagu, who's going to be very, very good on the special team side of the ball. We'll see what happens with that. Fullback, so I think they're going to want to play a little bit of smash mouth football. Andrew Beck, who was with the Texans as well. So I think they're trying to get a little tougher. Andrew Beck is, I think, the first guy that was signed, actually.
Yeah,
So
he was signed like a
a
couple months
while ago.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good move from them. I like that. Wide receiver Tyler Johnson, who was with the Rams and if I think the Bucks, right?
Yeah.
He was drafted by the Bucks. So he played with Brady. He has a lot of potential. Numbers have not been there in the career yet, but he does have a ton of potential. Young wide receiver who is very very fast. I saw that one play he made for Stafford. He took it like 80 yards down the field and
Hmm.
caught it. He only caught like a 5 yard pass and just broke through. So maybe he can be a good upside player for them. And I think a very underrated move was Stone Smart, who you're a huge fan
Hmm.
of, from the Chargers, who's someone that's only played tight end, I think, for like the last, honestly, like 3 years. He was like a college quarterback who they convinced to put weight on and stuff like that. And I think he'd be a good player, but I know you like him a lot. What do you think he could bring to the table? Because tight end has been a black hole,
Yeah.
honestly. Like Conklin did his job. I don't want to cut you off there, but Conklin did all right. But I don't think he can. Like I don't know. I wouldn't bring it back. You know?
Yeah, I think on for tight end we need more guys that have like not like stationary tight ends like
Yeah, like you got to be able to block and catch a
yeah.
pass and run, right?
And Conklin was like he wasn't the guy that you throw the ball down the field
No.
over the middle. He was like a 5 yard guy. You stand right there, throw it to him, and then he gets a few extra yards at the end. But you Stone Smart's a guy that can run down the field. You can throw it up to him. There's
Mhm.
a pretty good chance he's gonna come down with it because he's tall, 6'4", and he something we need on the tight end room because Jeremy Ruckert, I guess you're gonna keep him around for now.
Yeah.
But besides that, there's nothing else.
Yeah, so I agree. I think they should take a hard look in the first 2, 3 rounds of getting a tight end. Honestly, I would take Warren if you really
Hmm.
want to do that. But we'll see what happens. And the guy we made on purpose talk about last is the quarterback they brought in. So Justin Fields, someone that I wish we can go back. I think we could go back on the tape. Who did we talk? We talked about him.
We did.
Remember
I was
upside.
the one that brought him up.
Yeah, we brought him up. You brought him up. I shouldn't say we. You did bring him up. You wanted to talk about him on the show. That was like what when the season
Hmm.
ended, and the Jets did go out and sign their guy. I think they really liked Fields too because they went out like we said. They brought in Josh Myers, who was his center in college. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Garrett Wilson, college teammate. We're hearing rumblings about a maybe a Chris Olave trade. to the Jets, who would that would be a big boost to the wide receiver room. I think that would make them um, very, very good. I don't think he'd be worth that. I don't think you'd have to trade that much for him either. Maybe to give up a third round pick for Olave. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Hmm.
I know he's been injured with concussions, but that's because he has no quarterback play over there. Um, they get him killed. But Fields 2 years, 40 million. I want to get your thoughts first on this, just because like the whole situation of what do we think was going to happen, or like what do they see Fields as, and then I'll give you mine, and then maybe we can do a little. Uh, let's see if we're on the same page with this one.
Yeah, I think Fields. I think he's a really good fit with the guys on offense that we have. Imagine him, Brees Hall doing that RPO. Even
Yeah.
Braylon Allen. That's good. Imagine putting those three guys on the field at the same time, and then you got the four offensive linemen that are coming back from last year. They were good last year, but they weren't really good because they had a stationary quarterback. He
Right.
couldn't get out of the
You
pocket at
you
all.
keep I was gonna say I don't want to cut you off there, but you keep saying
Yeah.
that this offensive line is built for a mobile
Mhm.
quarterback, not a guy that stands there like a
Yeah.
statue. I mean, we don't have anything against
Yeah.
Rodgers, but that's what he was.
Yeah.
I think you keep saying that this offensive line is an offensive line that is built for a guy that can move.
They are, and they're built for the running game.
Right.
The You can't have you don't want a quarterback standing back there 40, 45 times throwing it around the field, especially if you don't have the other receivers besides Wilson. You don't want that going on. And Fields, along with Wilson, they were very good at Ohio State. That's the reason why the Jets drafted him at 10
Yeah.
because of Justin Fields the year before. And I think if you can get Olave, like you said, having both of them having a connection that they played with each other before, I think he can be really good, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to believe too much,
Yeah.
but I think he is one of the better fits to play quarterback for this team.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there. I think that the last point was very, very good. There's a sense of like you just don't get too excited. Honestly, when I saw it, I remember we sent
Hmm.
it to each other, talked about it. Like, all right, I mean, they got Fields, whatever. Like, we're not gonna get too excited. We're not gonna be upset about it. There's nothing you could do. We saw what happened the last 2 years, so anything at this point won't get us excited unless he goes out there and makes the playoffs. I am intrigued though because I think he could be very good. He played for the Steelers last year, who was a quality team, and he won games for them and just got benched. I'm not saying the Jets are anything close to the Steelers, but I think the Jets have a ton of talent, and they could. They realistically need really good quarterback play, and I think they could be in a conversation if they shore up the other positions. But what I was going to say, what I was getting to was the 2 year deal. I think is all right. This year he's going to start no matter what. Next year it's all right. If he does bad, then we're going to draft a quarterback and he'll be here just to be around, or we can get rid of him because there won't be that much money. Fields plays well. They draft someone that they're maybe not comfortable starting. Fields starts next year as well, and then you get rid of him. Or Fields plays out of his mind this year, then you're like, oh, we don't even need a quarterback. Now we got Fields here. He's
Hmm.
our guy. He's young. He's only
He is
26. He
young,
could
yeah.
very easily be the guy now. So I think they're in an okay spot. And I think also I'm not going to say fans are giving them a pass, but I understand where they're coming from in the sense of, all right, so who are you going to have quarter? Who was going to be the quarterback if it wasn't Fields? Tyrod Taylor, 37 years old, older guy, can't
Always
really
gets
do,
hurt.
always gets hurt. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, always gets hurt. Doesn't really do much. He's all right. What are you going to get out of that? Travis, you don't know where you're having him. He still can't even really practice. I mean, it's March and he still hasn't done anything. So you can't bank on that. Were you going to go out there and sign a veteran? What are you going to do with that? Russell Wilson? Oh,
He's not bringing his
not
team
bringing
anywhere.
Flacco back. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying Fields could bring
Yeah, but,
this team anywhere, but at least he
but
gives them something to look at.
he's more of a fit than these other veterans
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, exactly. And I do like how I know I never want to say you got to cater to one player, but Garrett Wilson is a very he's a damn good player. And if you can make him happy after what happened the last 2 3 years, I would make sure you can do that, and they did. Uh, I really hope so. I know we're gonna keep. Hopefully, we need Olave here though. I think I don't really see the point in the. I don't think the Saints to keep him and the Jets should jump all over that. Maybe if it happens, even draft week or whatever, I really would consider doing that. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to light it up like they did in college, because they probably won't, but very exciting. But I just want to get maybe because I know you said like the one guy we lost that you really it hurt a little bit. Who's maybe that one guy you brought the Jets brought in that you really like your that's like your favorite move? I mean, was it Fields?
It might be Fields, but you don't really. I don't want to. I'm trying not to make myself believe too much
We sound
by
like nut jobs, but it's the
we
truth.
do because we believe so much in the last 2 years, and then
Yeah,
look what happened. Now we're looking for a new quarterback,
yeah.
but after not even making the playoffs, so I'm gonna go on the defensive side of the ball. Andre Cisco, I really like him. He probably will be one of the best safeties we've had in a long time. I've said that before,
Yeah.
and he a safety that teams in the Super Bowl this year, teams in the playoffs. That safeties were the reason why they got that far, and that's something you need in today's game.
Yeah, I totally agree there. I mean, I'm a homegrown type of guy, so my favorite it wasn't really brought in, but a re-sign Sherwood. Can't complain.
Mhm.
Very very good player. He's only going to get better. So I think that would be good enough here for episode 25. We covered a lot. Any final thoughts you have on the Jets? Jets specialist Ryan Downey will be back. We don't know when, so if they make another big move, they could have did it now. For all we know, we're not checking our phones, but if they do make a big move, we will have emergency episode for that. If not, maybe he can come on. He can switch gears to talk to Mets. It's up to him, whatever he wants to do. But we will because the draft's a month away, so we're not going to talk. We're not going to keep repeating ourselves with the Jets. But we will have a week of draft maybe preview or an after as well. But that'll be a little while, a little ahead. But any final thoughts before we close off here?
I feel like the moves that they made, they're not really trying to go all in, but they're trying to fill out the whole roster and not just have 22 guys that have a big 53.
Yeah, I think also we're very quick, but this I'm not comparing it to the Mets, but last year's Mets team, who didn't have expectations, they made moves just to make them, see what happens, and if it doesn't work, like that starting rotation last year, all guys that they probably when they first signed them were like, oh, we'll probably just get new guys next year.
Mhm.
Some of them are back now, so I think that's with the situation here. Be like, we signed a bunch of guys on 1 year deals. We'll see what happens. If it works, we'll bring them back and get better with them. So we'll see what happens. But I want to thank everyone for giving us the support on TikTok, Instagram. I know we haven't posted in a while, but a lot of stuff's going to be coming out within the next few days. So stay ready. Best time of the year, I think, in sports. Football off season always heating up. Basketball and hockey hitting playoff time. Baseball starting up in a few weeks. Oh, honestly, this week with the Tokyo
Mhm.
series. But everyone's starting the week after that. March Madness, my favorite time, really favorite time of the year. Well, he'll put out a bracket as well. Like I said, we'll get those out there. And if people want to comment on us and clown us, maybe for picking a certain team, I'll tell you something. I like St. John's. He likes Duke, so we very easily might pick our team to win the whole thing, and we shouldn't be clowned for it because they very easily can win the whole thing or play each other in the final fours or the championship. We'll see what happens with the bracket and all that stuff. But coming out tomorrow will be um, a March Madness episode, a little preview. I won't give any of my like predictions away. I think it's best to just break everything down. Then Knicks and Rangers. Gotta give St. John's love as well. They're just playing terrific. And then later in the week, the Mets. And with that being said, episode 25 is over.